Hey guys, thanks for showing up. We're going to talk about investment income and the taxability of the investment income that you might receive. So, usually I'll do like a tax planner thing so that we can talk about your tax planning and how to do that. This is really important. So, a lot of people are trying to get investment income because either to subsidize your income or you want to retire one day or you want to retire early, right? Retire as early as you can. So, financial independence, retire early, right? Fire. So, I just want you to see so you can plan correctly for your taxability off of your investments. Make better decisions, know what to kind of calculate and what things that you need to do before you make that investment decision. Because you might know, hey, this is a great investment, it's going to return me a bunch of money. But if you get killed in taxes, you just spent all that money that you made on the government. You took the risk, government made the money. Isn't that great? So, all right, let's start. We'll talk about the different types, and then we'll talk about some of the kind of strategies or concepts behind them. Let's start with interest. So you'll see here on your tax return, this is a 2023 tax return. Didn't use my 2024 software yet. I'm still setting that up, but this is just a fake tax return. I made this person make $80,000 a year, married, filing joint. So all the tax brackets and everything are that way. This person is at a 12% marginal tax rate, right? 12% means the next dollar they make, they're going to get taxed at 12% on that dollar. Their effective rate is 11.16, so they're kind of at the top of it. So let's come over here. We're going to do interest income. So let's look at the different types of interest income. So what I did is I just put in Chase Bank here. Let's say that they made $1,000 of interest income. So this is you got a savings account. I know you're saying, wow, that's a lot of money. There are some savings accounts that are paying 4 or 5%, right? You can find something that pays a decent amount. It could be a bond, it could be something like that. But all right, so we showed up here, taxable interest, $1,000. Their taxes went up from 58.39 to 59.59. That means they're paying $120 on that $1,000 of income. 12%. That's actually not that bad. So for a low income tax person, somebody who's paying at a lower rate, having taxable amounts might be a good idea because you might be getting a better percentage in a taxable account than you are in a non-taxable account. But let's look at the tax exempt interest. So you got $1,000 here. It raised your income taxes by $120. So let's say they had none of that, but they went over here and they had all tax exempt interest. Okay, and when you're doing tax exempt interest, there's tax exempt funds, there's tax exempt bonds that you could get. A lot of different ways you could go there. Be sure to look at what the returns are. So you'll see here, now moved over from this part of your tax return 2B to the 2A, saying it's tax exempt interest, so you still got to report it. Still could affect your taxes in some situations, but for here, it leaves you at 58.39. So income over here could be more valuable from a tax perspective than taxable. However, usually you're getting less of a rate. So you'll see these at 2, maybe 3%, where over here you might be getting 5%. So you really got to make that calculation. Are you giving up return to have no tax? Or if you're a high tax person, you probably do want to be over here because that return is just going to be diminished by your tax. And usually these are municipal type things that are less risky than tax things. But interest is usually pretty on very low risk. So let's see what dividends do. All right. So we'll take this away. We'll come over here. We'll go over to the dividend screen. Let's say it's just an ordinary dividend. Now, there's a difference between ordinary and qualified. Ordinary dividends you're going to see on a lot of REITs. Your regular corporations could have ordinary dividends, but a lot of time they go to qualified. So an ordinary dividend, it'll show up here to 3B. Now, a qualified dividend will still show up as an ordinary dividend too, but it changes the taxability of it. So you'll see here, it's taxed at that 12%. Anything that's just an ordinary dividend. So if you're going into REITs, maybe you want to consider that tax, that 12%. Or, some people, I was talking to somebody earlier, he's at a 35% tax rate. So if he had this, he'd pay $350 of tax on that for that much more risk. So if we make him qualified, we go over here, we do $1,000. So the whole thing was qualified. We come down here and we look. So now you've got 1,000 here, 1,000 there, and it gets rid of the taxability. So he's now at a 0% tax rate. And that's because you're using the long-term capital gains rates as opposed to ordinary income tax rates when it becomes qualified. So there is an advantage, but you have to invest into the right type of company. So when you're going to make that investment, consider what type of dividends are going to come out here. Some of your investments don't have a dividend. So like Berkshire Hathaway is famous for not having a dividend. That means that you're not getting taxed on that. And what they're doing is they're repurchasing stock so that you own more of the company. they're probably paying taxes, which technically you're paying because you're an owner, but it's not hitting your tax return. It's not being paid at your rates. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get rid of the dividends. There's one more type of income I want to look at. So let's put these down to 0. I want to look at capital gains. All right, so capital gains. So there's 2 different types of capital gains, short-term and long-term. So I set this one up to be short-term, which means it's under 1 year of holding period. And then I set this one down here to be over 1 year of holding period. So let's just say you made $1,000 on this. We'll put a cost of 0. That would be a great investment, right? So short-term capital gains, $1,000. What do we think that does? So we come down here, and you'll see it comes over from your Schedule D, $1,000. That added on that $120 of income, or $120 of tax. Let's try long-term, and then we'll take away the short-term. And then when we get down there, it still shows 1,000, but as you can see, there's no tax on it. Again, it's because it's long-term, and this particular taxpayer is actually paying at a 0% rate for long-term capital gains. So if you can have those long-term capital gains or those qualified dividends, there's no tax if you're at this level. Now, there does eventually become a tax, right? So if you have a higher income individual, you could be you could be taxable, but it's generally a lot lower than your personal tax rate. So what is the kind of the strategy behind it? So you want to look at the tax impact of the return that you're getting. Something that doesn't pay a dividend is a great thing to have in a taxable account. Something like a REIT, where you're going to get hit with ordinary income taxes, you probably want to put those into a tax-deferred account. Tax-deferred is 401ks, IRAs, something that is a retirement-based usually. You can do some things like that in HSA, but it depends on the HSA that you get into. So you really just want to pay attention to how is this going to be taxed, and then choose to put those things that are going to hit you with the most tax into your tax-deferred accounts, and the things that are going to have the least amount of tax in your taxable accounts. So if you're buying Berkshire, don't put it in your tax-deferred account. Don't put it in your retirement account. Put it in your taxable account. But if you're going to buy like Realty Income, right, that's a real popular REIT, put that in your tax-deferred account because it's going to have the largest tax impact no matter what on you. I hope this helped you out. I hope you understand a little bit more about how investment income is going to be taxed on your personal returns. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at davidroofcpa.com, or you could message me on here, or email me at droof@davidroofcpa.com. Thank you, and have a nice day.